Okay, hello and welcome. Welcome to the Empowered Healing or Healers Call. We are meeting every Monday on Zoom at 5 o'clock Eastern, which is 2 o'clock Pacific, or somewhere in the middle there, depending on where you're watching from. And tonight we are going to talk about suicide ideation. Definitely a topic for our group and the Empowered Minds group. And we're just here of service. So if you ever need some help, then you can reach out to us or come on the Monday call and have your questions answered. We are an open space, a safe space where you can ask any questions. Tonight, Libby is going to run the call as her experience. She has over 20 years with the suicide hotline and such, and she can explain all of her amazing background and experience. But we just want to say that this is a safe space. So if you are struggling, please get help. It is okay to ask for help. We weren't taught that necessarily, but just want to let you know that it is okay. This is what we look like, and we would love to give you a hand. All right. Thank you so much, Libby, and we really appreciate the work that you put into the information that you're going to share today.
Thanks, everybody, and welcome. When I saw that this was coming up, because Christine's great about getting the next event and the theme up a week or two beforehand, I was like, wow, okay, let's do this, because suicide and suicide ideation are such things that are the top of everyone's mind, especially in the ex-Jehovah's Witness group. That's one of the things that a lot of people fear, and that's one of the things that people might be struggling with silently. So just to begin with, I want to put it out there, shout out to everyone who isn't feeling 100% and still getting up every day and refusing to quit. Even if you're not getting up every day, but you're still here, I just want to say kudos to you, because it takes a lot of energy just to be able to do so. And we are here for you and with you if you need any support. So first, maybe even just in a private chat, I want to get a really good idea of what drew you to the session today. Is it support for yourself? Is it support and supporting other people who might be, sounding like they're suicidal, or how to find those key things that we should listen into if someone's feeling suicidal? So if you want to put that into the chat, that would be great to find out where we want to go with this session, because I can go many different directions. As Christine said, I've got 20 years of experience working with distress lines and victim services. I used to train crisis and volunteer distress line workers to be able to handle any sort of suicidal crisis, whether someone was actively in the midst of attempting suicide, or if someone was having a really hard time and struggling with it. So I have a message here: support anyone who is suffering. So you were dealing with suicide ideation since you were 12. Okay, and since that's in the public chat there, that's Christine that has mentioned that. So those are some significant experiences to have struggled with that for such a long time. So how will we support someone? And Willow, also, to everyone, had said that you've been dealing this your entire life and you're getting better now. Okay, so where would we like to focus here? So we've got one option there of how to support someone who's feeling suicidal or has suicide ideation. There is a difference. Okay. Thank you, Carrie, for that as well, that you've been dealing with suicide ideation for a while. Okay, and gotten worse. So, I mean, that we can really focus on that, Carrie, also at closer to the end of the call when we're not recording, so that you have some private time where you feel that you're safe to be able to share that. Well, one thing that regardless of which direction we actually decide to go, and Willow says, I think focusing on the fact that we just want the pain to stop and not actually die. Yeah, that is a huge piece. And that actually segues really well, Willow, into the next to the next slide that I have here. And some people struggle with this statement that all behaviors and thoughts have a positive intention around them. And there's this shock of how could that idea of self-destruction be something positive for me? It's basically what it is saying there is that something is just not fitting, something is just not right, and we need to change something in our life. The path that we are on right now is not fitting. The path that we are on is violating some of our core values, and we need to be able to change that. A lot of times we're just like, if this happened in the world around me, then I would be okay. But really the change does come from within. And when we're feeling these things, it allows us to get a key idea, like when we're feeling suicidal, when we feel that we have those ideations, those thoughts coming up, that's when it's giving us an idea of what is misaligned. So when those thoughts are coming up and we might be in a certain situation, we might be focusing on a certain element of our life, that can really give us a clear view of where it is we need to focus in order to support us to be able to change. So once we connect with our own purpose, not other people's idea of what our purpose should be, and once we've aligned with our own values, things really shift. And I know that there's at least one person here where that huge shift has happened not too long ago. And I don't know, Christine, did you want to come off mute and share that? Are you willing to share that with the general community here?
Yeah, my first suicidal thoughts started that I can really pinpoint at 12. And I think it was probably earlier, but the first thing that I really, really remember was 12. And I had thought about suicide my whole life. I just want to die. Like I really, like Willow has said, just wanted the pain to stop, but I didn't know what the pain was, and had been misdiagnosed with mental illness, like in my adult life. And then I happened upon the Empowered XJW group, and Rodney reached out to me and told me that I needed to be deprogrammed from JW thinking. I'd been sitting around all my life waiting for Armageddon, and I didn't realize it. And once I realized that I needed to be deprogrammed, and as soon as I started his boot camp, within 3 days, my whole life shifted. And not just a little shift. It was a huge shift. And the suicidal thoughts stopped, because now I'm not over there. I'm here. I'm actually in my body, and I'm aligned with myself. And all of a sudden I have purpose. Like I wake up every morning now and it's like, I can't wait for today. What's going to happen today? Like, it's going to be a great day. Oh, it's going to be a great day. Whereas before I would roll over and go, another fucking day. I just want to die. Mm-hmm. Like literally that's how it was. And now it's like, nope, ready for another day. Ooh, it's going to be so great.
So there's a huge shift there. And you said one key piece there, that you had a sense of purpose, and then finally you were present within yourself. So yep. That can really make the difference. And that's what I found when I was working on the distress lines, and when I was supporting volunteers who were working on the distress lines, is that we were noticing that people were just like, I'm not living the life I want. I feel like I'm living someone else's life. But when they start focusing on what is theirs, when they start focusing on their own purpose, their own values, things change. And was there someone else that also had a story from this past year too that wanted to share? share with everybody? And that's okay if you don't. We can continue on. So some amazing pieces that Christine had found and shared with me before the session. One of these things, there's lots of different memes out there that can support you. And one of the things that we kept saying to people is that, you know, this feelings, emotions, bad situations are transitory, they change. Suicide is permanent. So we want to be able to weather people through those changes so that they don't have a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Okay. And one of those things, this isn't the end for you. You might feel defeated, but you're not alone. And one of the things that we can do as a gift for individuals is to be present with them. And one of those things that the volunteers on the distress line were like, I want to just pull them out of this dark, muddy place. And I was like, that's actually an injustice to the individual, because they're going to fight back. They're going to be like, no, you have to know why this is not working for me. It'll actually cause more distress. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're talking to someone who's putting up those red flags that they're feeling suicidal, or if they come straight out, or if they start joking about suicide, take those things seriously. Sit down, ask the question, are you feeling suicidal today? You're not going to give them an idea to do something that wasn't already in their mind. So being forthright, actually saying those words, takes that big elephant out of the room, because they suddenly know that you're okay talking about these things, that you have seen those signs and you're willing to sit with them in that mire, in that ick, and help to understand what they're going through. Okay. And even if we've felt suicidal in the past ourselves, even if we have attempted in the past ourselves, it is really important not to say, I understand or I know how you feel, because everybody's experience of this is different. Everybody's situation of how they got to this place is different. Just saying, I'm here, I'm listening. Tell me how this has been for you. Tell me your story. I'm listening and being there and being present and taking that time with them. That is the gift. And of course, there's lots of other things that people say. Other people have it worse. Man, that's a difficult thing, because same piece as if someone has a pain threshold. Some people's pain threshold is a lot higher or a lot lower than anybody else's. And we can't assume that we know every little aspect of what is going on for that individual. Again, it's that piece of being present, sitting, listening, seeking to understand, and then connecting them with people that can support them beyond our ability to support. Okay. But just that act of listening can alleviate a lot of the pain, because part of that pain when someone is suicidal or thinking about suicide is that feeling of isolation. Nobody understands. Nobody gets me. I'm alone in this. No one else can understand how I feel. But when you sit there and you ask questions, not prying questions, but just holding the space for them, it allows them a safe place to be able to speak about these scary things. And they can be very, very dark. Okay. So we want to be non-judgmental with that. We want to not assume with that, but really finding out what it is for them, what their experience has been like. Any questions as we go forward here? So I want to be at a good pace. Now there's a bit of statistics here. So if you look at this view of the world here, it's interesting to see where suicide is higher than other places. And if you kind of take a look at it, now admittedly, China doesn't give a lot of statistics about suicide, so this may not be entirely accurate, but it gives you an idea of where suicide seems to be happening and what's going on there. 1.4% of global deaths are by suicide, and that is quite large. Suicide rate is highest in age 15 to 29, as well as the elderly men 65 and up. And there was an interesting conversation about this as before we even started that. And kind of amazing. We think about teenagers because, just like Depeche Mode, getting teenagers depressed is about as easy as shooting fish in a barrel. But that whole piece of men 65 and up, and what do you think would be the reason for that? And you can put it into the chat. You can come off mute if you want to.
Because they don't have a purpose anymore when they retire.
Yep. That purpose then comes up again, right? That loss of purpose, that loss of strength. Yeah. Those are definitely pieces. And they also have means. And they tend to pick the ones that are very effective. Risk factors also, financial, mental health, marginalization, people who have been shunned, right? So that's why it's such a big concern in the ex-Jehovah's Witness community. Chronic physical or emotional pain or illness. So as Willow had said earlier, just wanting that pain to go away. If there could be an alleviation of the pain, then that whole pressure would be off. Loneliness definitely is part of that. So part of that marginalization is no longer being a part of the community or family that someone had been part of before. So again, it's that holding the space. Now, some other pieces that were coming up. Never actually read this one before I put it up here. So here's an alternative phrase to say. I may never understand how you feel, but I'll be with you all the way, right? Imagine having someone say, I don't know where this journey is going, but I'll walk it with you. How does that feel to have that kind of a statement? What difference would that have made for you when you had those really dark tea times of the soul? To have someone who's just willing to be there, active listen, give support, that they're there, it's going to be all right. It doesn't work. But you know what? I'm here to listen to anything that you need to say and try and find the supports that you need to support you to move forward. And I'm not going to leave. Right? And those supports can make all the difference in the world. So what questions might you have?
I think maybe we could, what would be the first step? Like if someone is having the suicidal ideation thoughts, what would be their first steps?
Well, if someone is feeling like they have these recurring thoughts about suicide, so there's the difference between suicide ideation and being actively suicidal. So suicide ideation is when you're having thoughts about it. It's life would be better for everyone if I wasn't here. I don't know why I'm here anymore. I don't want to be alive. I just want this pain to go away. When you start recognizing that you're having these thoughts happen over and over again, talk to somebody. Okay. Reach out to somebody that you trust. Reach out to somebody that you feel would be non-judgmental. And say that you've got some feelings that are coming up that you're finding distressing and that you would like to find some help. Okay. In your local area, you could have local distress lines. For Canada, there's the Canadian Mental Health Association, and there's different mental health associations across the states as well, different hotlines that would be a support that would allow you to connect with resources. And I'm just going to grab some water because I suddenly have a frog in my throat. Any other questions?
I think just to add to that is you could have a safe word with a friend or a family member. That way you don't have to explain everything. Because when you're, in those kinds of thoughts, you just don't have the energy always to explain yourself, and you just want someone to understand. So having that safe word where you just mention the word and they know, okay, right? And they're there to help in whatever way you've talked about it beforehand, could be another way to help.
Yeah.
in that situation.
That's if you've had those conversations before. I mean, my daughter phoned me up one day. I was about to train suicide that night for victim services, and she phoned me up and she's like, "Mom, I'm not safe." And I'm like, "Not safe, not safe." She goes, "Not safe, not safe." And I was working in a police station that day. I walked into dispatch, said I needed an ambulance for my daughter, let my supervisor know that I wouldn't be able to train that night, and headed to Toronto. So yeah, having those safe words to be able to indicate to somebody without having to explain a whole lot can be really helpful. Now, I didn't explain the whole suicide, when you're feeling suicidal. If someone is actively suicidal, they have a plan, they have a timeline, they have a certain level of pain that they've gotten to that they don't want to be at anymore. And that's a time where you really need to reach out to a crisis line. And if it's imminent and you are just struggling with this, and it's not something that you really want to do, because if someone's actively suicidal, they're not going to reach out. Like, if their purpose is to die, they will not reach out to anybody. They will just go and make it happen. But many, many, many people reach out when they are wanting the pain to go away. They want help. They want an option out. So reaching out to a crisis line, reaching out to 911, walking into your local hospital. And I know that is a two-edged sword there, but it is still a place that you can get help. Not all ERs are made equal. So, just know that before you walk in. But those are ways to be able to get support as you move forward or try to move forward in your life. Okay, so ideation are the thoughts. They're just recurring thoughts, but there's no plan or timeline. Actively suicidal, then there's an assessment piece. And it's more than just having a conversation with a friend. But if you've got a friend who knows what they're doing when it comes to it, they can be with you so that you're not alone and walk you through that process, so that you're not alone going through that process. Okay.
Any questions or any comments? Anyone on the call? Welcome to jump in. I have a couple more.
Go ahead. Yeah.
What would be your advice? Like, let's say, it's someone who has a family member that has been talking about it or has actively gone through. What would be your advice to support, like, family that it's not them specific, but maybe they have someone close to them?
Close to them that they're worried about. Reach out to them on a regular basis, because it's that isolation that can really just make all those feelings bigger. So reaching out to them, taking time to listen to the pain that they're going through so that they're not alone with it, supporting them to connect with resources, professional resources so that they can get support through this. Because there's a bunch of different reasons. Now, if it's a matter of, finding purpose and connecting with values and that kind of thing, I've got different options myself that they can reach out to, and I can put links in later. But connecting with a family doctor, connecting them with a family doctor, connecting them with mental health association in their area, connecting them with a distress line, but always being present. It's that piece of, you don't want to have them feel like you're passing them off to somebody. You want to be there with them, that you're willing to walk through that journey with them so that they're not alone with it. And don't be afraid to say the words. Don't be afraid to actively say, hey, are you feeling suicidal? Are you having thoughts of death and dying by your own hand? You get comfortable saying it, right?
Yeah, thank you. That's very helpful.
And it's really hard. It's really hard if it's a family member that's close to you. Like, I worked distress lines for 20 years, and both my daughter and stepson at times have felt suicidal and actively attempted. And it's hard to see, and it's hard to be in when it's that close. Yeah.
Mhm.
And had I had somebody who would have held my hand through the whole process, I was like, everybody always passed the buck. So nobody could deal with my big emotions. So, go here, go there, go do this, go do that. And it was like people would just do this. And I felt like I was just being passed around. And I personally didn't have much success anywhere that I went. And again, like, it wasn't until nobody understood religious trauma. Nobody got that key for me.
Yeah. And having somebody that understands that piece can really make a difference. It can really, really make a difference. Yeah. Or someone who's willing to take the time to understand if they hadn't lived through it themselves. So, but I mean, the the silver lining, and I keep thinking of Brene Brown with this one, and they're like, you don't want a silver lining this, but really the key piece here is that it is a big red arrow pointing to the exact spot in your life that is the place to start focusing on first. It gives you a very clear idea of what it is that needs to shift and change. And, those things can be things that parts of them can be beyond your own control, but there are little elements of it that you can choose to change. They might be difficult changes, but if you have supports to support you through that change, then it can shift your entire life. And Christine is an example. I'm also another example. I'm sure there's far more on this call that would be seen as an example as well if they wanted to share those pieces. But when you live more aligned with your own purpose, when you are connected with your own values, it shifts everything. Like, one of the things that our distress center, I used to work for the distress center for Wellington Dufferin a while back, and we created the Connect program. And the program was designed for people who would call in. They would need to call in multiple times a day, every day. And we just didn't feel that kind of support was really helping them, because it just felt like it was, the hamster wheel. So the program was designed to call out to these individuals to talk about what they wanted in life, and supported them just really small coaching pieces to support them to focus forward on what they wanted and to create purpose and to connect with purpose. And it changed everything for these individuals. Someone who might be calling 12 times a day, every day, 365 days a year, suddenly, after getting maybe 1 or 2 calls a day from the Connect program, would call once or twice a week because they had connected with something that was meaningful for them. They didn't have the same concerns. They didn't have the same reoccurring thoughts that prompted them to call into the distress line and need that support. You know, I mean, it would be lovely if we basically were able to support people to live in a way that connected with their life purpose and everything, and work ourselves out of a job. Wouldn't that be lovely? I don't mind going back to gardening and doing that old stuff, you know, to have people living the life that really aligns with them. That's my dream. So any other questions, any other things that you'd like to know from this before we stop the recording and then have a little private chat?
Just going to share a couple of things just on the having some meaning or something hopeful maybe in your life to look forward to, because we feel that, you know, we went through the organization and it took away you know, part of our lives or something like that. But to reframe, and yes, that was the past. Deal with any of the emotions, like sit and feel with them. Your emotions are valid always. And then how can you move forward? You know, what is it? Is there a group or a community that you can be a part of, that you could start or find one near you? Rodney's done a really great job at setting up different meets around, and more are being added all the time. They're looking for leaders to help with this. But you know, if you want to help others, then reach out to us. You know, we can give you some ideas of what you could do. I'm happy to take, you know, what your skills are, what you've learned, and figure out a way that you can move forward so that you have something to look forward to. There is something that's exciting in your life that, you know, would be or give you that feeling of like, okay, you know, yes, life has been hard, definitely, but it's not meant to be that for every single year of our lives. And often the difficult parts are something that's asking us to heal or to lift ourselves up from. I didn't necessarily have, I mean, suicide definitely has crossed my mind. Really bad depression about 3 years ago. I was just so disconnected from myself and looking around thinking like, is this all there is to life? You know, but I had good moments and good times, and I wanted that back. And so I fought to study the brain, study how, you know, emotions work so that I could crawl out of that hole myself. And so if any of that, you know, resonates for you, definitely reach out to one of us that are here on the call, Christine or myself or Libby. And there's other admins in the groups that you might be a part of. We're, you know, mainly talking about the empowered group, but that there is someone who's willing to listen and also maybe to give you some suggestions if it resonates or if that's what you're looking for. Maybe you just want someone to hold space and to listen, and that's okay too. But if you're looking for some direction or how can I do this, or like, you know, from a funny point of view, is the organization really taught a lot of marketable skills. We can talk to anyone, we can go door to door. You know, we were taught to be teachers and leaders. And so there are many skills that we learned that are very marketable in the world out there. But really just, you know, taking that time to look after yourself, calm your nervous system. There's different ways that you can do that. To be able to, you know, come into that brain where you can think and you can see the opportunities that are around you. If you're constantly stuck in survival or fight or flight like we were raised up in, then it's going to be hard and difficult. But through simple breath work, if you like meditation, that's something else that you can do and really just come to this space of calm. I teach meditation. So on our YouTube page, Healing Soul School, You can go there, and there are meditations to help you. We did one, my business partner, in September, October, November. She did one. I've done one. I know there's one called My Soul Reconnection, and it's all about bringing you back into your body. When we've had trauma, we leave the body because it was too painful. And that's why many of us maybe don't have memories. That's why I don't, right? Because there were pieces that were harder. And so my higher self, or my body, my soul, just protected me in those moments. And so, we end up leaving our body, learning how to come back, taking walks in nature, connecting to your favorite music or friends, being able to have the courage to reach out to people. Or maybe it's art, maybe there's a song in you, or a book. There's something there that you can put your mind to that will just help to, reframe or change out the thoughts that you are having with something that is more exciting for you. Meditation, those things that can calm your mind. It's going to calm the parts of you that just aren't shutting off, right? They're just tripped on. The cortisol, the dopamine hits are tripped on, but there's ways to rewire your brain. And breath work is definitely one of the main ones to start with. And a simple breath I'll just share here is, you can be sitting in a chair, or if you're laying down. If you're sitting up, just like lean back. Because right now, as I'm leaning back, I'm already telling my body without saying anything that it's safe. There's no threat. There's no tiger or another. And if there is something that, there's a threat in your world, then getting the help to leave that situation. But for most of us, that threat is gone, right? We don't have someone telling us our identity anymore, or we're not going to get in trouble. There's no one who, we're out. Before we had to watch our back, or you had to be all prim and proper, otherwise you were going to get in trouble. We can give ourselves the permission to drop the good girl, good boy kind of, way of living and being, and just do the things that feel good to you. Majority of Jehovah's Witnesses are super nice people. Like, they're good people at the heart, right? And want to truly help others, or, be good law-abiding citizens, whatever the case is. So, from that point of view, is just come back into your body by being present. Breath work is the best way to do that. And a wave breath, just for simple, I'll just show you actually, is you just breathe in for 4 in your nose, you hold for 4, and then you breathe out, but push it out. So it's breathe in, hold for 4, and then you breathe out for as long as you need to. And then you wait for your body to start again. And then you breathe in for 4. If you can do that 5 times, and in that time, if you have the space, you can put your hand on your belly and say, I am safe. You could start to thank your body for the different body parts that, our feet help us to move, our legs are holding us up. You have hands that can help you, in your day-to-day. All of those things that you can start to come into a place of gratitude for the things that are working out. What is going well in your life? Because it's very easy. Our brain is just wired to be on the negative side, or to think negatively, but just start to slowly rewire your brain. What is going well, right? You can write a list of all the things that are really hard, but then also write a list of what is going well. It might be just something as simple as you like your eyes, or your fingers are skinny. Like, I don't know, just pick things that, are going to be on the side of what is going well. And we had a 1 in 400,000 chance of that sperm hitting the egg. So you are meant to be here. It's just getting some help and maybe finding some, something of a purpose or a reason that would make you feel like you have joy again, because it is possible, definitely. And if you are open, there's tons of help in this group. And so we just want to say thank you for being on the call or watching the replay and sharing this space with us. And just let you know that you are not alone, that there are many people who are around you who are willing to help and for community. And we are here on Mondays at 5 o'clock Eastern. So you're welcome to join us anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And there's also the change of path. The next one coming up is Thursday, December the 9th. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you're able to get here, regardless of where you are in the world, I can definitely put the link in. You can also, just as Christine had said, I'm on Facebook, friend me, and I can share with you any information that you want, or just connect And just let me know.
What
if
is
you
that
need to
course? Just to explain a little more.
Oh, change of path. Change of path is just basically a
Okay.
Zoom recovery group. It's on the second Thursday of the month, every single month. And it's just a great opportunity to connect. It's an hour and a half. It's free. And I'm there just as a facilitator to make sure that everyone has a chance to be able to speak. Just to ensure that it's more forward thinking. What do you want in life, rather than watchtower bashing, because there's no sense in wasting time on that. That's not what that session is for. It's about, how do you want to move forward? What are your challenges right now? And the group basically decides what the theme of the day is. And every time it's a different mix, because there's different people that are there. So it's great opportunity to be able to have a chance to be able to speak. A chance to be able to share, a chance to be able to grow in a little way and know that you're not alone.
I was just thinking another way to kind of get some of the anger, resentment, shame, judgment, whatever it might be holding inside of your body, is to write it all out if you like that, or have a dance party. But if you're writing it all out, write out everything, or write a letter to maybe someone who's really hurt you. Don't send it, but just write out all the things you'd actually want to say, and then burn it.
Yep.
Right. And let that be kind of a place of liberation of, you got it all off your chest. And then what are the gifts, right? What are the gifts in all of the things, right? From even just to go back to the organization, is we have very high level of discernment because we've been controlled. We've been given our identity, and that did not feel good. So now we're very leery, right? Someone really has to explain something, or if they're, we just get this feeling and we're like, that doesn't sound right, or I don't think that right. We have some really amazing gifts that have come from that as well. And so just to look at, again, what are the gifts, even in the hard things you've gone through, it taught you something. It taught you whether to stand up for yourself, or boundaries, or, who you can trust or can't, how to read people in a room, or read energies, for those who are empathic, right? To be able to just feel that. And so, yeah, we're just here if there's any other additional things we can do, but those are some of the tips for you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak or offer any advice or something that has helped you in the past? Then you feel free to add in anything else.
Yeah, the thing, I got a whole list of goodies here. So things that really help shift things for me, journaling, but a gratitude journal. I've started off with just writing 3 things I'm grateful for every day. So that's the first thing I do. Well, I do breath work as soon as I wake up. And while I'm doing my breath work, I'm thinking of my gratitudes to write in my journal for when I actually get out of bed. But 3 things that you're grateful for each morning. The first one is going to be something that you're grateful about of yourself. The second one can be of anything. And the third one is your future in present tense. So, and it's kind of like a manifestation. So right now I'm manifesting what my business is going to look like in the future, from what I'm wearing to how I'm feeling to what I smell to what it looks like out in front of me. And I write it in great detail, even like the water droplets on the blades of grass, the dew in the morning, like I'm really, really specific. And then at the end of the day, I'm writing down 3 successes that I've had, even if it's, I managed to cook 3 meals today. I mean, normally I only manage to cook 2. I'm recovering from a brain injury. But if I make 3 meals, it's like, woo freaking who, like, go me, even if it was just bacon and eggs, it doesn't matter. It was 3 meals. I managed to wash the floor. I managed to get all my laundry done. It doesn't have to be anything big, but you're ending your day on a positive note. So you're starting your day on a positive note and you're ending your day on a positive note. Things that have really helped has been breath work, meditation, qigong. Oh my gosh, I love qigong. Like I didn't even know what that was when I first started this journey. Just look on YouTube for qigong. It's amazing. Kundalini yoga, loving Kundalini yoga because there's breath work included in it. Getting out into nature and going for a walk. If you're feeling, and this was one of Christine's tips, if you're feeling kind of like discombobulated, go take your shoes and socks off and go walk in the dirt. Like it grounds you. And I've had since June when everything kind of exploded for me. I've had 2 bouts of like really bad anxiety, and I don't ever remember not having anxiety. And then all of a sudden, like everything kind of blew open for me, and now I have purpose, I have a life, I'm deprogramming, and the anxiety and the suicidal thoughts went away. And the day that I reached out, which I don't normally do, I keep everything inside, and I reached out and Christine says, go take your shoes and socks off and go stand in the dirt. And I'm like, what? So, okay, took my shoes and socks off and went and got my chair, and I sat outside with my feet in like a little patch of dirt. And within 5 minutes, it was like, oh, okay, heart palpitations are gone. I'm not breathing heavy. The sweating has stopped. Like I get it really bad. And all of that was gone. And it was like, wow, the dirt can do that. That is amazing. That's amazing. Going like taking a walk in nature, jogging, biking, some form of exercise to burn off some stuff that's kind of pent up. I've recently started ecstatic dance. Oh my God, that's just like the cat's pajamas. I love that. Thank you, Willow, for that one. Yeah, those were, and one thing that was really unhelpful for me, like really unhelpful, there's a lot of groups on Facebook that are, they say, oh, kind of like suicidal help groups, too depressing. That was like my experience. It was like, these people are just giving me all kinds of other ideas. And it just was not helpful in the least. Suicidal hotline was probably the best thing for me, getting outside, and a seasonal affective disorder light. If you're struggling with seasonal affective disorder, invest in a sad light and do that for 20 minutes every morning.
Or you can also get full spectrum bulbs. So you can get little lights,
yes.
you can get a full spectrum bulb, and it might be a little more affordable than the sad light.
Yes.
Even though those bulbs are expensive too.
Yeah, I forgot about those. I've got a few of those as well. And if you're on medication, don't run out. Or if you are running out and you can't get in to see your doctor, don't play around with that. Go to the ER and let them know, I'm running out of meds. I need something to tie me over till I can get into the doctor. So those are my helpful hints. So thanks for listening.
And those are good points. And finding out what resonates for you is also really important, and trying new things, which I know when things are rough, it's hard to motivate yourself to do anything, but just trying those new things, there could be something, just as you said with Willow saying about the dance, right? That, if you have something new that might be able to shift things a bit, that can make all the difference in the world. But finding someone that you trust to talk to, and any of the admins in the Empowered Minds group, are definitely there to be able to support you in lots of different ways. And if one doesn't work, try a different one, because you might just have a personality difference with people, but they're all there and they're all wanting to support and help.
Yep. Yeah. And don't, like, I'm Christine and Rudy on Facebook. Don't hesitate to send me a friend request. Strictly confidential. Yep. I'm quite happy to hold space.
Yeah, there's lots of options.
Very good. Thank you, Christine. Those are really awesome tips. Wendy's saying EFT is really helpful as well. Yep. And that's just where you tap. You tap on the different points. So you can look it up. But you're also saying affirmations, right? What it's doing, it's moving the stuck energy, moving the stuck emotions that are inside. Mindset is the bigger part of it, right? And listening to things that are going to uplift you. Finding someone, I really like Dr. Joe Dispenza because he talks about the science behind things as well, which helps my brain, especially from how we were raised. But you know what kind of mindset you're in, and when you wake up and doing some kind of routine, even if it's making your bed and that's all you feel like you can do, by having, you know, a meditation or a dancing practice or something that feels good to you. And then at night before you go to bed, before, you know, our subconscious doesn't go to sleep, so it continues on. And if you're worrying about something before you go to bed, you're taking that into your dream state as well. But if you can watch something or listen to something or just feel like you're in a place of, you know, feeling better or having some hopeful thoughts, then that's what's going to go into your dream state. So it's just you're going to sleep a little bit better. Vitamin D is going to be really important as we go through the winter months, to have that. And you can have pineapple and oranges in the same meal. That will help to bring in some of the good hormones within 72 hours, and also vitamin B. A lot of people who have depression or have the lower thoughts really are not either processing their B vitamins or are not getting enough. And that could be enough of a help, of a boost to at least, bring you up and pull you up so that you are able to think of opportunities or things around you, kind of get you out of that slump. And then just ask the universe, like, what am I here for? You know, why did I go? You're going to get answers, which is really beautiful, you know, and just saying, okay, like, I surrender, I'm here. I don't know what to do next, or I'm not sure where to go, but show me, and you will start to get answers. Just that trust.
Do we have time for me to share? Yeah, okay. I just wanted to say that it's like different things work at different stages of your process. And I was going to say, recently I've gotten a lot from Joe Dispenza and also Dr. Levine's healing book, Heal Trauma book lately, about the actual biological responses going on. And so when I get into that dark place and I shut down, and it's like an animal that's been chased and they fall down and they collapse from their exhaustion, and then the animal drags them off somewhere and to eat them later, and then they wake up and they finally get can get their bearings back to get up and run away. That's the same thing that's going on with us when we're laying in that dark spot. And I say it's like laying in the coffin. And I simply rolled out of bed the other night, or when I was in it, and I just walked outside and the rain started hitting me on the face. And it was just like I came into my body. I felt my body fall down back into, and take presence in my body. So there's so many, these physical things that remind you have a body, and that these thoughts, they're not you. These terrible thoughts that I'm telling myself, they're not me. I'm actually the spirit, but I have control. I have a body to serve me. So anyways, the body can reset that nervous system for you, is what I was trying to say. And So that was a good thing for me to do when I was in that super dark place. But if you have the consciousness to be able to recognize that you're spiraling down, pick that phone up and call the suicide line, the hotline. People don't use it because they think, well, I'm not really going to kill myself. It doesn't matter. It's the fact that you're feeling so bad. They don't want you to, it's not to call after you've committed suicide. You know, the whole thing is prevention. And it's a very underutilized system. I know that for a fact, because I know, well, I've done some research, but anyways, I just know that myself. I've called them 3 times, and every time I was like, this is it, I'm killing myself. But I called them and I was completely deflated, you know, as far as that, wanting to terminate myself. And again, if you keep reminding yourself, you just want the pain to stop. It's not that you want your entire life to stop. And so I just watched last night a lecture by I don't know, Buddhist person on Young platform. Carl Jung's, the people that are doing his, made a foundation after him. That's another great resource because they will give you access to everything. Just write to them and say why you can't pay, and they'll give you free access. But anyways, it was on suicidal ideation, and it was from a spiritual perspective. This very same trauma work that we do, feeling into the pain, staying with that. So when you have that desperate feelings, going into it and staying with it and writing it out is the way through. But it's hard to do if you're way down, so you need to be supported. But anyways, okay, now I'm rambling, so I better shut up. I lost my train of thought.
Your train of thought was just fine.
Yeah.
It was very, very solid all the way through. And,
I think I am the other person that you might have been thinking about. It might want to have something to say about a suicidal situation this year, because I did in July. I had set the date, and somehow I connected with Christine, and I think you also, Libby, and some other folks right at the same time. And the date I had set, on that day, I had connected with a couple of local witnesses and one that was traveling through that knew these two. And so they stopped and they came to my house that day and took me with them, took me into the forest. And turns out they're 3 of the most wonderful witches that you ever want to meet. And they just did all kinds of, nature healing with me. And I was so built up between that and Christine and everyone else's support that it got me through that day. And so I cannot say enough for how feeling connected to another human being pulls you out of that state. So connection, human connection. And there's another new group, an organization called Seek Healing that's completely free also. There's so many popping up now. Anyway, thank you for listening, and thanks for having this. It's a wonderful, important topic.
And thank you for being able to share that. Yeah.
Yeah, we love you so much. And I just want to share a couple other things. If you're a female ex-Jehovah's Witness, there is a messenger chat. If you want to be added, then reach out to one of us. Willow's on it, and Libby, myself, or Christine. June's on it as well. And we're just there for support. So if you're having a rough day or you have something funny or silly, we do that too. Then it's just a place of support, so that you don't feel alone, and that you've got other people around. I'll tell you that when Willow had messaged me and she said, just for the other side of it, someone is messaging you with this heavier things, is remember that her soul had her. I just had to release. She had sent me the message that what she was thinking about, and I just released her. And I said, like, her soul is going to look after her. So if it's meant to be, then it's meant to be, because there will be people that we will know this year who will choose to commit suicide, and they're just done. They've either, they're just tired or done, and that is their choice, and know that that was their path, right? And just to allow space for that. We are going to grieve definitely if someone does go, their physical body or not being here for, with them anymore, but you can still connect to them, from an energetic level. And if you have questions around that, reach out to myself or Libby. But it's, when we pass away, we were taught something very different, right? That we're sleeping or waiting for Armageddon and all those things. But really, science has proven that we're all energy. And when we die, when our meat suit expires and we're no longer, then the grid doesn't change, right? We're all energy, and science has proven that energy can't be destroyed or created. So we're all connected. And so if you have a loved one that has passed on, call their name and just reach out, or say, show me a sign. Maybe it's a butterfly or something, just for that peace of mind to know that they're there with you, but that there's support on both sides, right? And again, just to reach out if you are having a really difficult time. There are enough hands, loving hands, that are wanting to help you and to walk alongside with you. Yeah, so I am finished, Libby. I don't know if there's anything else you want to share.
Well, we can stop the recording, and I can stay on if you want, if there's anyone that needs
sure,
to
actually,
chat.
and Wendy, did you want to say anything?
No, I appreciate everything everybody said. I'm just kind of taking it all in. I'm kind of that person. I like to sit in the background and listen.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden one day you'll go, oh God, she really does have a voice and she doesn't shut up.
Many of us do.
And a beautiful voice that is.
Yeah.